Alright, well, I'm trying to figure out a video thing real quick. So you can look at a thing in a box in the meantime. Howdy, everybody. Alright, there we go. So, hope everybody's having a good day. It's Sunday, July 12th. Hey, look, I actually got the date in one chunk this time. And it is the weekly Ration Museum Bulletin number 5. So, welcome back, everybody. I see a lot of returning folks in the chat. Hope everybody's having a good one. So, howdy to Aletha and Smitty and Jay and Marilyn, and welcome all of you guys here. Smitty, hope you get to say hi to some folks. Glad I caught you before you gotta wander off to what are you saying? Some other adventure. Yeah, there's always one of those around the next corner, I'd hope. Speaker, howdy, welcome. So I hope everybody's had a good week between last episode and this one. I was on the fence about Bulletin today. There hasn't been pretty much any time for working on anything for the museum in the last week, but there's always something here and there's always something we can go into, so I decided that it'd just be crazy to call it off. So might not be a super long episode, but I've got a good idea, and I grabbed some stuff that we can take a look at between this crate that I'd like to kind of issue a challenge around, and then between some of this NASA stuff that I tracked down in the collection, NASA and other space related. So, oh, gotcha. Yeah, it's even more so, a treat to actually get out and go have somebody else cook you a meal for a change these days, Smitty. I gotta say. I mean, I'm sure it's been a little less lockdowny in Canada than here over the last few months, but I'm sure it's still less you know less than normal in terms of the general out and about activities. Um, and Aletha, you're doing some home improvement. That's always fun. Make sure you wear a good mask. I don't know where you'll find one of those, but hopefully you've got a good mask. If you're going to be scraping any drywall or any joint compound or anything fun like that. Oh, demo. Gotta love demo. If it's a really old house, be careful. Definitely watch out for any asbestos or anything like that. Ceilings and outdoor panel siding and stuff had it. When it cracks, it gets these little particles. It's awful. So don't do that. But just be careful. I found. I think. I'm not sure if I remember, but I found a book that I think somebody might be interested in, at least. This was a find just today while I was digging around. So let me flip this here. Let's see. We will take a quick look at. There we go. Take a quick look at this. So I was going through items that I've picked up since I moved to Philly, which was a pretty small box overall. I've been really trying not to add to what's here when there's nowhere to add to. So I've picked up some occasional photos and some space-related stuff since it's generally very small, and a couple things like that. But I've avoided any new cases of anything or anything like that for the longest time. So fixing plaster ceilings, got it. Yep, definitely rotate through those masks. You'll need them. But this is a great one that I knew in the back of my head that I had, but it wasn't with those other books. So this is the Salads and Salad Dressings Army Recipes Manual. And it's stored upside down, I guess, and it's got these tabs built into it that, or maybe it's stored like this along with other books because there's a punch on the side. So yeah, I guess you would put it in a binder and you could store it, you could store it sideways. But it's in great shape. It's a 1961 edition. And it's just really, really neat. There's, the first section is just the general ingredient lists that you're going to have to get familiar with, and then a table of contents. And then we go into salad after salad after salad after salad. So let's see if we can get a little closer down here. Not too close. Let's go about there. But there's some really good looking ones in here that I wouldn't have thought of as military style. But apple celery and pineapple salad. We got banana salad, and there's salads on the backs of these too. So up here, banana gelatin salad. Now gelatin salads, they're a whole thing that I have just kind of slipped out of time, but they were pretty popular in the 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s. Just these clear gelatin, concoctions with suspended stuff inside, or using gelatin as a thickening agent in, kind of these light, cold salads that then get kind of chopped and fluffed, and it's very, very interesting. I at some point need to make some of these and actually try the gelatin salads. I have some gelatin somewhere in the collection from 1930s, just like paper packets in a paper box, and it has a bunch of recipes like this in terms of like just a mold of gelatin with suspended hot dog chunks in it. It's like, okay, yeah, that sounds great. Um, so we got banana salad. Let's see, what was in banana salad here? We got fresh bananas, evaporated milk, mayonnaise or salad dressing, prepared shredded coconut, fresh lettuce. So we're going to peel the bananas, cut in half, add milk to dressing, blend well, dip each banana half in a mixture of mayonnaise. Okay. Roll each banana half in coconut, trim, wash, and drain lettuce. Place each coated banana half on lettuce, chill, and serve. So you've got sliced bananas rolled in mayonnaise, coated in coconut, and placed on lettuce for a decorative approach. The military, is pretty creative, and I think a lot of Michelin star restaurants over the last 40, 50 years have stolen quite a bit from some of these handbooks, and people just don't realize it. Like no one would know. Cranberry, pineapple, and gelatin salad. So we got the gelatin salads up top. Maybe we'll have to see if that's a trend. Let's see, we got. Oh, hey, welcome, Kaylin. Well, I think it might have been you that was interested in these recipe books. I'm trying to remember, but this one is salads and salad dressings, and I just refound it today, so just going through some of these. Grapefruit and red apple salad with variations. Gotta have variations. You see, if you don't have the grapefruit, you can go for orange. Well, I guess that's it. You can go for orange. Substitute orange sections for apple wedges, but you still need grapefruit. Yeah, and there's another gelatin salad up on the top section. So I'm thinking we'll go through and then we'll come back through and see some gelatin salads. So we've got And maybe these say no, they don't have anything on that side. Individual fruit salad. This is just, tried and true fruit salad. So we got peaches, pears, pineapples, bananas, lettuce. Gotta get the lettuce, gotta get through the lettuce somehow. So that's, sorry, you don't see the corner there. Jellied cranberry and orange salad. Jellied fruit salad. See, this one's got some cherry gelatin, some chopped nuts. Some of these sound fantastic. Canned fruit cocktail, cherry gelatin, boiling water, cold water, lemon juice, coarsely broken or chopped nuts, and lettuce. The lettuce part I'm not so sure about, but fitting that back in every time. But again, there must be a directive somewhere that says the men will eat lettuce. I don't care how, the men are going to eat something that's leaf-like, once every so often. So that might be how you get lettuce and jelly and lettuce and gelatin and lettuce and whatever else. So we've got mixed fruit salad, starts with canned fruit cocktail and fresh bananas. So this is just a variation, I suppose, but it lets you plan around 2 number 10 cans. So that's something I'm that I've got the fondness of, and I think another reason that I'm so I was brought into this whole world so early was the number 10 cans. Just that concept of it was so normal in the Boy Scouts. Uh, in the Boy Scout camp mess, there'd be number 10 cans of just about everything, and not military, just number 10 cans of this, that, and the other. And then we'd take them when we were done with them in the mess, and we'd give them a blast with flame retardant paint, and then put them out to each of the campsites. So there were there were all these different sections of the Boy Scout camp where I worked when I was a teenager, and each one was meant for like a whole troop to come up and set up, drop off all their gear, empty all their trucks, pick all their separate tents, and then go park their trucks back somewhere else, back up near the entrance of the camp. And then they'd all be in that space, and it'd be for their unit. And then another 100 yards down the road, 200 yards down the road, there was another little alcove that went off, and it went down to another separate campground with its own separate like main lean-to, their own space for their own like snacks and hiding out from the rain and whatever else they're doing, and their own fire pit and their own tent platforms and all that. And there'd be number 10 cans at every one, as many as we could get out there. There never could be too many, because they'd eventually get rusty, or they'd get hauled off by bears or whatever. And there were a couple camp bears. Susie was the camp bear, and she had cubs every so often, so then there'd be more bears, but they always wandered. That was Goose Pond up in the Poconos. And howdy, Fordman, welcome. So that was that was number 10 cans were just a way of life, and we'd all draw mess duty at some point. So you'd go in and you'd just okay, we're gonna open up 50 number 10 cans of peaches, and we're gonna pre-fill all these bowls, and then we're gonna saran wrap them. We're gonna slide them in the fridge. We're gonna get them cold so these kids can have their cold peaches. But and I think a lot of working. There were a couple summers where I've spent a week or two just working in the mess, and I think that's a big part of how I ended up interested in all this as much as I did, because the Boy Scout mess hall at a Boy Scout camp is very much similar to a standard military mess. Right down to all the military surplus equipment that every Boy Scout camp that I've ever been to uses as their mess hall. So, we had the Melmac trays, or melamine, Melmac, whatever you want to say, but we had the trays, the cups, the bowls. We had the U.S. stamped forks and spoons. We had all that stuff in our general day-to-day, and we'd put 250 to 300 kids through 3 meals a day there, and had barely more than we needed for everybody to get their meals out on them, and then they all had to go through the entire process, get washed, get cleaned, get, sterilized essentially, because we put them through this like 300-degree Hobart cleaning setup, and then stacked, prepped, and back in the front of the line and ready to be reused again. And the mess hall duty ended up being like 16, 17 hours a day, like whoever was on for that. It was pretty neat. Yeah, I could see when you've got to like, start making a meal at a ridiculously early hour or super late hour, however you look at it. Some shortcuts, some shortcuts would be nice to be able to serve everybody together, and a great deal of effort gets saved if you get to open up a couple number 10 cans on one of the sides or snacks. Camp Raven Knob, where was that? I went to Camp Levine, Hawk Mountain, and Goose Pond are the camps that I attended growing up. Oh, and Aletha, I saw a message from you. I don't think I'm the same person that you were thinking of that went to Montana and came back. I forget what I was reading into there, but I went out in '07 and came back in '17. I forget what else you were saying there. Let me see if I have that open. I just meant I haven't had a chance to get back to quite a few folks. Oh, no, no, I definitely didn't play World of Warcraft back then. So um, the only World of Warcraft I ever played before recently was on pirate servers. Troop 25 Bloomsburg. I was Troop 444 Sweet Valley, and before that I was Troop 17 Huntington Mills Shikshinny. I don't know which. I think there was a separate Shikshinny troop, but everybody was like 4 or 5 years older than me, so I switched over to 444 out of Sweet Valley because there were a bunch of folks that were in my actual grade in school that were pretty much my best friends, so it made a lot more sense to be there. But Troop 25, I know so we were in all our stuff was Luzerne County, and you guys were Columbia County, and it wasn't until like jamborees and stuff where our troops would be in the same place. Oh yeah, shitty. It only goes underwater once every 10 or 15 years. The smell leaves after. Oh no, I'm sorry. I won't say anything bad about Shitty, Pennsylvania. That's not fair. This isn't Sean's Fun Time Hour. This is the museum weekly bulletin. So, um, molded fruit salad. So that means something slightly different than I thought at first. Yeah, Hawk Mountain was when I was in Troop 17. That's where we went. But when I switched over to 444, it was off to Goose Pond. Well, I got stuck in Hunlock Creek for 17 years or something like that. I don't know. Actually, no, like 12 years, something. Really Ricketts Glen, but that whole general area is, they can put a different name on something 2 miles down the road, but it's all that general area. Yeah, I miss that space. If it just had fiber optic internet and a few other things. So I'm assuming this means it's placed into a mold. So, but let's see. We got apricots, gelatin, boiling water, cold water, fresh apples, banana, grapes. Okay, so yeah, none of this says to use molded fruit. It says you're going to put it into a mold. I'm assuming on the back of here, molded fruit continued. Yeah. Add fruit to gelatin. Oh, there's also lettuce and mayonnaise at the end. Gotta see. at the very end, after you've made your fruit salad and you've molded it with your gelatin, you've got to trim, wash, and drain your lettuce, cut salad into serving portions, and serve it on the lettuce with some mayonnaise. So there you go. You thought you were getting away with having a gelatinized fruit salad. Still mayonnaise, still lettuce. Gotcha. I bet it was a lot more fun in the 70s and 80s being in the Scouts. In the 90s, I think I still got to take, you know, still got to do quite a bit. I'm sure the Boy Scouts, it'll really depend on where you're at. And I've heard a lot of Girl Scout troops are getting more fun these days than they were in the 90s. But oh wow, Eagle Scout in the 1930s. That's back in the who am I thinking of? That was the founding, like around the turn of the century. Is it Robert Beard? I can't remember the names. That might be, but I think he might have still been a scout around then. Waldorf salad. Here we go. Everybody likes a good Waldorf salad. So we start with lime gelatin, like you do in a Waldorf salad. Okay, and then we're gonna go apples, lemon juice, celery, shelled nuts, evaporated milk, and fresh lettuce. Well, lettuce in a Waldorf salad, I'll agree with. That makes sense. But notice there is no mayonnaise in this one. There's no salad dressing in this one. That in this case, that in this case is replaced with evaporated milk and salt. So, okay. So their version of the Waldorf salad has kind of a thicker cream and some salt. I bet your grandfather's scout uniform's not too much different than the modern day. I noticed through my youth and all the way up till today, it's pretty much the same exact uniform. The you know the badges might get more and more complex, but the overall look and feel hasn't really changed too much. So let's see. Your construction teacher served in the Vietnam era. Oh yeah, yeah. No, I heard the same thing from when you go through, you put food on your plate, you eat it. That's it. In the Boy Scouts, we didn't necessarily push that hard. If the kids took a little extra food, I'm sure some of the leaders would admonish them a bit for having eyes bigger than their stomachs. But I don't think anyone would sit. Well, I don't know. I guess it'd go troop to troop because really, the reality of the camps is that it's kind of self-managed and policed by each little troop within itself, and then the camp staff interacts with the kids during scheduled blocks of the day for specific things. And other than that, we weren't really in charge. It's not the kind, like, there's a lot of stay away camps where there's like a bunk and everybody goes into one bunk, and there's like a staff member that's in charge of that bunk. Like, my camps were never anything like that. The troops ran their own, and then the staff had their own separate camp that was like a troop camp, but just staff. And my tent had electricity because I brought some tractor trailer batteries and a power inverter. So I had a TV and a VCR in there and carpet. I mean, I lived there all summer, so it was still a canvas U.S. military surplus platform tent, but it had electricity, Christmas lights, a little front porch with a separate tarp going out, some garden gnomes around the front. Um, Yeah, I was about to say what my camp director always referred to it as, but I'm pretty sure it's an ethnic slur, so I'm going to go ahead and skip that. But it wasn't a very well kept space. But I was well back from the road, so I argued that I didn't use any camp funds or anything for it. I did kind of pilfer some bits as the camp quartermaster though to make it happen. So, eh, I didn't see any paperwork for that. So, yeah, I mean every troop is different. It really just depended on who your leaders were. Sometimes it was just a bunch of local dads that wanted to have a reason to get together and make sure their kids were doing something constructive. And it was a path to getting that mark that you've made it to Eagle or whatever, which I didn't make it to Eagle myself. Made it to the one right before that, Star or Life, can't remember. But then there were the troops where it was all work. It was drills, it was memorization, it was contests, it was this, that, and the other. And I was in both over the years. I was in one where it was everybody just laid back, going camping all the time. And I was in one where it was camping a lot, but it was very regimented, very specific, tons and tons of repetition of drills, and going and doing these statewide competitions where we try to be the fastest to perform certain first aid tasks, or try to be the fastest to start a fire, or try to be the whatever it happened to be. So let's see, orange apple and banana salad. We got oranges, apples, bananas, lettuce. That's pretty straightforward. Do we have salad dressing or anything? This is, oh, you can use drained pineapple. Can be substituted for bananas, and it is not a regulation salad if you substitute it for anything else. So keep that in mind. You know. And when I see these clips of MASH back in the day, where it ain't army regulation, that ain't regulation. I can see someone reading one of these books a little too stringently and saying, "No, I can make you a Waldorf salad. That is a H-7 162 or whatever. That is a H-14. In a TM 10-412-4. I can do that for you, but sir, I cannot substitute anything other than orange slices for the apple wedges. If you try and put pineapple in there, I'm gonna get court-martialed." Peach and cottage cheese salad. That's just a bowl of peaches and cottage cheese. That's not. You can't just call things salads. This is one of the best books, and this is what I love about this stuff. It's you know what else am I gonna call it? I'm sure that there's an army book out there that would define cereal as soup. It's liquid. It's got stuff in it. It's soup. It's not a sandwich and it's not a salad. It doesn't fit into those. It's soup. Change my mind. So, and we still haven't looked at the backs of these, but I'm gonna jump a little faster through this because this other one on the back, prune and cottage cheese salad, same thing. It's just a bowl of cottage cheese with prunes in it, on top of some lettuce leaves. They're trying pretty hard to push these lettuce blankets. Sliced orange salad, oranges, lettuce, coconut. Wash oranges, peel, cut oranges crosswise into thin even slices. Trim, wash, and drain lettuce. Separate leaves. For each portion, arrange 4 orange slices on lettuce. Sprinkle coconut over orange. This is getting fancy. This is there is a restaurant somewhere in, Italy or France that has done exactly this and has sold it for $200. and somebody thought it was, brilliant and life affirming and whatever else they think when they buy a $200 salad. And they're just reading out of this book and making a killing. I guarantee someone somewhere is like, this is gold. This is all gold. Oh, thanks, Smokey. I almost didn't post today. And welcome, hey, by the way. I almost didn't go live today. It's just been hectic. But then I just trying to remind myself, even unprepared necessarily in terms of work between the streams, I'm always prepared to talk about something in here, and there's always a lot ready. So I just prepped a few boxes of stuff to look at, and this book has been something I've been looking for a while. So I did throw up a post on Twitter just a little bit ago and mentioned it in the Discord, which I know a couple folks have joined so far, and welcome. It'll get populated bit by bit. Remember, we have $300-something a day every day in AdWords money that we haven't used at all, that I just need to get some help with and get my head focused on. And we can start letting other people know in all kinds of places that this exists. We can put up ads to remind people that the stream's happening. We can get up, the first campaign for fundraising to get the office space and get all this moved. So we've got a nice, safe, secure, bigger space that we can put some desks in and, actually have more than one person come and help. All that stuff is good, but, in the absence of movement on any of that, I'll still jump in and do a quick catch up on where we're at, and then we can always walk through stuff because we have over 1,000 artifacts here that we can take the time to look at. Yeah, yeah. I just saw what you were saying, Fordman, about people. At least from what we know of it, talking in their personal diaries and their personal correspondence about their commanding officers and their strict adherence to regulation, and how it can be less than ideal in the field. So there are those that say you do what the book says to do, and if the book doesn't know what to do, there's a chapter on what to do when the book doesn't know what to do. But they get people killed. So there's certainly a lot of that in diaries and letters and whatnot over the not just the Civil War, but pretty much all of organized war, I guess, from the civil era onward. But there's certainly a lot to be said about a person that can think on their feet and know when they have to adapt something that was written down a little too stringently. And that's the kind of person you want to have as your in charge of your you and your friends when the time comes. Oh, gotcha. Gail, welcome. I just saw you were saying space for stretching quilts. Is that if they're stored too long, they tend to kind of shrink up, or you just need to air them out, or what's stretching quilts about? And howdy, Daniel, welcome. Tossed pineapple and cheese salad. That's our next one here. This is starting to sound interesting again. We've got lettuce, pineapple, mayonnaise, shredded cheddar cheese, ground paprika. Let's see, anything? Yep, that's it. So we trim, wash, and drain the lettuce, drain the pineapples, and we're gonna chop up the sliced pineapples if they're used. But if not, technically somebody somewhere would have a whole pineapple just sitting on top of this salad. Because that's what it says. It says if slices are used, cut in half-inch pieces. So if it's not sliced, you got to eat the entire pineapple in one chunk. Welcome, Fred. Hey, I got your email from last Sunday morning. I didn't see that until just a day or two ago. I'll definitely be reaching out to you directly. I really appreciate you reaching out. Any way I can get the opportunity to learn from everything that you've done in this area, I can't wait, and I really appreciate you reaching out. So. Okay, so we're at combine the lettuce, pineapple, and dressing just before serving time and place in serving pans. And then garnish the top with shredded cheese and sprinkle with paprika. So, so we've got a chopped up, mixed up combination of pineapple chunks, mayonnaise, lettuce, just all mixed around. And then we're putting that out in a bowl. We're hitting that with some cheddar cheese on top. And then we're going to top just little taps of paprika on there like it's a deviled egg. Like we're making a deviled egg out of mayonnaise encrusted pineapple wrapped in chunks of lettuce. Okay. I'm actually mouthwatering a little bit at that. I think it's just involuntary because of this diet I'm on. Anytime I start talking about food, even if it's just chunks of things that, I mean, imagine if we had just you know, a gathering where everybody made one of these salads, and everybody's got to try a little bit of as many as they can, and we try and see what salad wins. That'd be a gathering for sure. Yeah, this is a 1961 edition, Gail, and yeah, I think right when I started this, I was talking about how there was an obsession in the 30s, 40s, and 50s with gelatinizing your salads and gelatinizing all kinds of side dishes and just having things just suspended in gelatin. But mayonnaise was a wonderful, addition to just about everything apparently. And I honestly haven't gotten there's plenty of times where I've gotten brave enough to put mayonnaise in something that it feels like it shouldn't be in, and I don't think I know of any times where I've considered that to be a bad choice in the end. So I don't know. Maybe some of these aren't so bad. So we've got, all right, regular Waldorf salad. Let's see if this one has some mayonnaise because the other one didn't. All right, here we go. Number one, we got mayonnaise, salt, sugar, apples, celery, lettuce, nuts, and then we are allowed by decree to, let's see, we've got some kind of variation here where apple, celery, and raisins, instead of, what was it? Was it apple, celery, and grapes? We got apples, celery, and nuts. All right, interesting. So apple, celery, and raisins is a variant. And they say to soak the raisins in lukewarm water for 30 minutes. Mayo is always good. I'll agree with that, Fred. I've definitely, like I was saying, when you get pushed to the point where you say fine, I'll try that. It's pretty much always good, and every sauce, every spread that you can think of, like you got probably a 2 out of 3 chance of it being mayonnaise hiding in there. Um, Apple, celery, and date salad. Apple, celery, and carrot salad. Those are the other two variants here. So, interesting. So if you don't have nuts, you can try raisins, dates, or carrots. All right. So we've got, ooh, now this is a personal favorite, just general food item of mine are deviled eggs. So what does the army think of deviled eggs? Well, of course they have to be on lettuce, right? Let's just start right there. You can't have deviled eggs without lettuce because they need to eat something green. Remember, they have to eat something green. So eggs, whole, fresh, hard cooked. mayonnaise or salad dressing. We've got evaporated milk, ground mustard, salt, vinegar, fresh lettuce, ground paprika. So, eggs, mayo, mustard, salt, vinegar, paprika. I'm on board. Where where does the evaporated milk come into this? Let's find out. Let's uh let's find out where this goes here. Hey, thanks, Viper, and welcome. Um, let's see. So we're gonna place eggs in pan, cover in hot water, bring to a boil, reduce heat and simmer 10 to 15. Okay, so we're boiling some eggs. We're gonna remove from heat, run cold water, shell them, cut them in half, remove the yolks, and mash the yolks. Um, so far so good. Now we're going to combine the mashed yolks with the salad dressing, the milk, and it wants a lot. Um, Salt or mustard, salt, and vinegar. Mix until smooth and creamy, and refill with the mixture of 1 to 2 tablespoons for each half of an egg. Trim, wash, drain, and drain lettuce. Arrange 2 egg halves on lettuce. Sprinkle with paprika. Serve immediately or refrigerate. So they just kind of casually walk over that you're going to put a cup of sweetened condensed milk in there. I guess it says sugar, additive and a little extra fat, and I don't know, but that's interesting. Oh, did I miss something? No, okay. I mean, I probably did miss something. I always do, but hot sauce on a salad. All right, I'll give you that, Fordman. Howdy, Katie. Welcome. Um, let's see. Butter in place of mayo on ham sandwiches. Yeah, that's the French way. And or maybe the French got it from somebody else. I just always associate it, so I won't say that. But it's definitely a British thing too. A ham buddy. Um, yeah, the first one of those I had was 2 or 3 years ago, and yeah, I won't look back. I mean, granted, I still have ham and mayo and mustard every now and then too. But ham and butter on a hard roll once in a while. I mean once in a while, like months and months and months apart. But again, mouth watering. Why do I do this to myself? I sit here and I talk about food. All right, Kevin, welcome. The Gates, uh, doing good, thanks. Hope you are too. Um, what is it? Guten Nacht. It's pretty late over there. Thickness and texture. Condensed milk. You're right. Okay, that makes sense. So I always equate the two, and Gail points out that they're not the same thing. So thank you. I need to keep that in my head. Sweetened condensed milk and evaporated milk, different purposes. So maybe I don't know. This would be interesting to try. I make deviled eggs a lot. They're one of my favorite things in the world, and I do just mayonnaise, ground mustard, vinegar, salt, black pepper um, in the mix, and then just a little paprika on top. But I don't use already made mustard, just so you can control it a little bit more, and it ends up. I think they're awesome. So the only thing different here is the evaporated milk, and I don't know. I'll give that a shot. Autocorrect doesn't understand German. Yeah, good luck. Good luck with any of those. Yeah, in my day job. I work with a team that ties systems together and makes warehouses talk to stores, talk to you know uh, data centers, talk to whatever. And you'd be amazed how many times people say, "Well, what could be special about the characters in somebody's name and address?" It's like, aha, you ship to Scandinavia, sir. You ship to Finland. Take a look at where some of this is going. Like You can't just say, "Oh, well, I've got so many characters that'll fit any normal address." There are places in Wales, for instance, that good luck, good luck putting that on an envelope somewhere. But you'll be ripping open a 2012 low sodium beef ravioli. Oh, nice, nice. Oh, you stream too. I'll have to check that out. I don't think I had uh, known that yet. I have just been recently trying to get caught up on all the channels that exist out there that weren't in circulation when I was last trying to pay attention to all this. There's a lot. There's a lot going on. It's great. Like, it used to be, ration information moved at a pretty slow pace, but it was already a little too much for me to keep up with. Now it's just there's just too much out there. There's everybody's into this. It's great. I mean, I say, oh hey, Eric's MRA, thanks for subbing to the channel. I appreciate that. Um, so we've got the deviled eggs on lettuce. It's pretty close. Chicken or turkey salad. Let's see, we've got chicken fowl RTC. It's cooked and boned. Maybe rotisserie cooked? I don't know what RTC would stand for in this context. Stew chicken or turkey until tender. No, it doesn't. I guess it doesn't mean that. Probably doesn't mean rotisserie. Question from Old Smoky. Do I have a collection put together of military rations like the SA3, FP, GSP, ST2, etc.? Do I have a collection put together? No. In here there are boxes that have some of the SAs, some of the STs. I can't tell you offhand which variations I have. I know I've got them written down somewhere. But yeah, I've got at least 2 or 3 variations of the survival Arctics and survival tropicals. I have at least one that's got the 2-part cans that actually have both of the cans. But that might be just a food packet survival general purpose or something. I can't remember. I have maybe half a dozen of the gold cans in the collection. The big wide flat gold cans. I mean the I think we call them sardine cans, but they're not because those are smaller. Let's see. Whipped cream cheese, mac and cheese, mashed taters, cranberry sauce. Oh wow! On top of rotisserie chicken. That sounds fantastic, Daniel. There's anybody on in the Pennsylvania uh, gang here. I know there's a couple folks might be familiar with Wawa, or I think Sheets might have this too. But the gobbler sandwich around Thanksgiving, where it's turkey, stuffing, cranberry sauce uh, on a soft roll. Oh, really good, really good. Oh geez, that sounds like a story, Kevin. Streamed once and ended up in the hospital for a week. Oh, ooh, careful when, just a reminder again to everybody. Anytime you're eating old food, you are rolling the dice. Be sure you have health insurance. Be sure you are ready to deal with what might happen if you pick up something old and angry. Um, yeah, yeah, Fred. Wawa is it's a great little chain. For like made to order sandwiches and just general convenience store fare. But yeah, those gobblers, they're fantastic. When they go on sale around Thanksgiving, I always have to get one. Wait, what are you talking about? That was 300 for an SA3. Oh geez, yeah, they I don't think I ever got them for that cheap even, but I would have considered them really expensive back in the day, and that's talking like $40, $35, something like that. Yeah, so missed over what you were saying for a second there, Smokey, but yeah, that is something we need to know that for one, I'd like to have fully sealed set or sealed appearing from the front and maybe cut out from the back so that the actual like peel part is still on because it is just going to go worse and worse and worse inside. And a lot of them have those cheese blocks. I don't know if you guys have seen the inside of many. I'm sure Smokey has. I know I've seen a couple where they have these compressed cheese bricks and they go bad. And they will put their funk into anything else inside them. So depends on which ones you got. I think they were in the tropical ones of all things. Sorry, I got a bit of an itch there. Do I need a food packet survival general purpose 1980s? I probably do. We have. I mean, again, though, just in general, we're not currently looking to have anybody send anything. We want to get into the new location, which I'm still trying to get the guy to just say, okay, I will meet you and let you sign a lease. He's in California apparently. I didn't realize last week, and so there's a bit of a delay on us actually getting keys to a new location where we can set everything up and start really going through and cataloging what we have. Because I wouldn't want anybody to, you know, send something we have a bunch of when it could go to someone else that's going to do a review and enjoy it, or be used yourself, or anything like that. But then anything that we don't have, I want to have a better means of saying this is what we're looking for overall. How can you help us? Because we need to track anything that somebody donates properly. We need to track anything that's on loan, whether it's short term or permanent. There's all that kind of stuff. Um, and I just want to have a better means of saying this is what's missing from our overall picture, so that folks can kind of go out and help fill in the gaps for us. And I've actually got something here that's right along those lines. That's going to be some trying to track down bits of history, and I want to see how it works or how it goes. Let's see. Never been a finer store to break bottles behind than Wawa. Oh, bottle kids. Those bottle kids, I tell you. Every Wawa comes with three or four of them. I guarantee it. Was the nun first or last, Kevin? Just give me that part. Yeah, the cheese can absolutely ruin those gold tin survivals. Um, oh, that would be fantastic, Smokey, if you were coming up here. I don't know 100% when everything's going down, but the moment that I know, I'll clue you in. I've got a lot of good folks in the area, coworkers and friends and family that are all coming out to help. There's been a bit of a push in the personal life that I really need to get the museum moved sooner rather than later. Because I need to move my house, which is a whole big fun ordeal that I'm not going to go into right now. But yeah, so things are lining up actually, and it's interesting that I was already in the process of trying to do that. So uh, we'll I think we'll be able to do it pretty smoothly. Hopefully in one or two quick moves. Uh, Most of it's ready to go into a truck. I just don't want to damage anything. And I did just get rid of all kinds of packing material, but packing material is the easy part for everything. I've um, got about 60 of these. Let's see. About 60 of these banker's box kits that we're going to use one today to start moving over some of the NASA items, which I know I haven't opened up just yet. Um, but yeah, we'll want to take an opportunity like this to get a better idea of everything that's there again, and just start start fresh with an inventory at least, and then we can say what do we have left to clean, photograph, empty, catalog, etc., and have big kind of buckets of that stuff to start through and get people set up to help with. 20 Wawas in a 5-mile radius. That sounds like heaven, Fred. Um, Fordman, actually, a lot of the pilot's escape stuff was meant to be shiny because you needed to give your position away in certain circumstances. So you had to keep it concealed, of course, when you were in escape and evade for the most part. But a lot of times you could ditch, or you could end up abandoning, in a situation where you wanted anyone that saw you to see you, or anyone that could see you to see you, or you were gonna die. So, oops. So having the reflective stuff that you could use to get a bit of light bounced as far as you could was definitely on purpose. Who's got a? Oh, sorry. Wait. Who's got a fixer-upper in Westchester? Let's see. Oh man, you got sick from an oatmeal cereal bar of all things. Was it the kind that had the milk in it? Those. Oh, let's see. So I think I bounced around a bit. Oh yeah, we were looking at the peach and cottage salad, the sliced orange salad, tossed pineapple, chicken or turkey. Okay, so now we're at crab or shrimp salad, meat salad, tuna or salmon salad, asparagus salad. Let's see, we got lettuce, asparagus, onions, and we can apply some variants here. We can use shredded cheese, chopped or sliced eggs, strips of pimentos. So we're just kind of garnishing up our oniony asparagus salad, which actually sounds pretty good. They didn't try to put mayonnaise in there, so I mean, I kind of would try and put mayonnaise in that one. Yeah, Wawa barely makes it. I think barely makes it up to like Wilkes-Barre, Scranton area. I don't know if it even makes it past or to New York. So it's just a little pocket. The other thing, like Sheets is another one that isn't everywhere, but it's a pretty darn good chain. Out west, there were like Loaf and Jug, Come and Go, Holiday, Valero, all kinds of stuff we don't have out east. So yeah, everybody's got their own chains of little convenience stores. Conoco, we had all kinds of Conocos out west. They were all like independent. Town Pump, we had Town Pump. None of them were as good as Wawa or Sheets. Like almost nothing's as good as a Wawa or Sheets. Let's see, we got cabbage, apple, and pineapple salad with variations. Okay, some shredded cabbage can be a pretty good basis for a lot of sweeter salads. So we got shredded cabbage, canned tidbits or slices of pineapples, mayo, salt, and apples. And we can vary with some substitute celery for pineapples. Okay, that's just a thing, you don't really expect those words. All right, now you know what you got to do. You ran out of celery, or you ran out of pineapples. I know. Just put some celery in there. Nobody's gonna know the difference. Same thing. Just tell them it's young pineapple. Food packet survival general purpose, Katie. Wait, FPSPG. No, wait. Food packet survival. Wait, PG? No, now I don't know. GP would be general purpose. But for a second there, thought you were talking about another one. There's food packet survival general purpose, comma, new. So, or new generation, I think is what it says. I have a case of, I think these are 89. They might be 99. They're cardboard box. And there's like 10 or 15 in there. It's not an actual complete case. But yeah, there's a lot of those long name food packets out there. Cabbage, apple, and raisin salad. Cabbage, apple, and spinach salad. Fresh spinach. Yeah, that would work. Cabbage, bacon, and egg. Cabbage and cottage cheese. Cabbage and pineapple. All right. There's a lot more of these. I think we might pause on the recipes book because like I said, there's what we've been looking at, and then there's the top of the other side going back the way we started. Most of the way back are their own salads. Some of them are continuations of the other salads, but most of them are their own. And there's a whole nother direction there, and then even more coming back there. So this is, I'm just blown away. How did the Army decide that there's like 400 types of salad and that they would regulate every single one, as opposed to just saying, do you have mayonnaise, do you have lettuce, do you have some canned fruit and some fresh fruit? Just mix them up. Just mix them all up. Just dump what you got into a thing and just mix it up. It'll be good. They'll eat it. It's good enough. Jellied beet salad, kidney bean salad, lettuce and endive salad, macaroni vegetable salad, marinated green bean and onion salad, sliced cucumber and onion salad. Okay, and then we get into dressings. And that's where they get into the weeds a bit. Is that pronounced lamaze or lamaze? So whatever this is, it is tomato ketchup, chopped fine eggs, mayonnaise, and pickled relish. And you shell and chop the hard-cooked eggs. Combine the ketchup, dressing, eggs, and relish. Place in a covered container and refrigerate. That is a salad dressing. Relishy pickle eggs with ketchup. Relishy pickle eggs with ketchup. Let's see. Oh, just mayonnaise. It's like, hey, gotta make some mayonnaise. And so Army mayonnaise is egg yolks, mustard, paprika, salt, sugar, vinegar, lemon juice, salad oil, and vinegar. We're gonna combine the egg yolks with seasonings, sugar, and vinegar in a 6-quart mixing bowl. Mix at top speed for 5 minutes until ingredients are blended and appear light and frothy. Continue beating at top speed. I assume we're adding the lemon juice since that comes over at that line then. Add very slowly 1/2 of the oil. Scrape bowl as oil deposits appear on the surface. Slowly add lemon juice and vinegar. Okay, I was wrong. It would have told me. It just says continue beating at top speed, I guess, there. Just as its own thing for continuity's sake. Add remaining oil at a slightly faster rate. And after oil is added, continue beating for 3 minutes. Place in covered container and refrigerate. So, interesting. Mustard, lemon juice, etc. in the base mayonnaise. I bet that would have a nice tang to it. Maybe more like Miracle Whip than some generics. Peanut butter sour cream dressing. This book is just a treasure trove. Picante dressing, but spelled the strangest way I've ever seen picante spelled. Washington, D.C. is a good 2 hours south of me, I think. I could get there in about 2 hours. Washington State, it's about 2,500 miles away. And if you weren't asking me, sorry. Tasty French dressing, Thousand Island dressing, vinaigrette, vinegar and oil. So those are starting to sound good. So we'll pop this back into some bubble wrap for now. We'll probably take another look at that soon, but I think that's one that's going to have to get digitized and shared early on, because there's a lot of fun in there, in the Army Guide to Salad Maintenance. Industrial grade, good for board butter. Wait, I missed something. Let's see, so this, let's see, let me get a little more space here. This I had picked up maybe 2 years ago, and someone was asking about this in the chat last week or the week before, was did astronauts actually drink Tang? And here is here's one of these great old Saturday Evening Post ads to that effect. So actually, let me grab a pair of gloves and take a quick drink of seltzer, and I will be right back. And we'll get this out and take a closer look and see what's on the back and what's on. It's actually, it looks like there's a couple pages of it, but probably only one of these is an ad that's relevant to us. But the Gemini program, was where we had to trial a lot of eventual pieces of the puzzle that we need to solve for going to the moon. Going into space, leaving a ship, doing maintenance outside of a ship, returning to it, going away from it and coming back to it. We had to trial quite a bit in the Gemini program, but I'll be right back. All right, so here we go. So I'm back. Also needed to eat an egg real quick. Just had a hard-boiled egg ready. I mean, I got a couple in the fridge, but after all that deviled egg talk, I just couldn't help it. So got my gloves. Try and keep the oils to a minimum. And let's take a look. What's on the back of this? Like drilling with spaghetti. I don't know. Okay, so it was a cover, it looks like. Just inside the cover. But all we care about in this instance is the Tang ad, or all I'm interested in here is the Tang ad. So there we go. There we go. So we've got on every American spaceflight since Gemini 4, the astronauts drank Tang. Tang has been the choice of millions of American families for years. Tang with natural orange flavor has more vitamins C and A than orange juice. The choice for NASA's Gemini astronauts was Tang. Why not choose it for your family too? So, I don't know when, if at all, Tang stopped being served or sent up. There were certainly powdered drinks all the way through the present day, I believe. But there's potentially more directly formulated drinks coming out of Natick, especially these days, that have the exact whether it's going to be maltodextrin or just dextrose or it's going to have the proper sugar to burn. It's going to have whatever as opposed to just being off the shelf Tang. Bought a Mustang from bit different Tang, but sorry, I must have missed some. Oh, found you some more beer. Gotcha. I've got some Billy beer if anybody's brave enough. There's still liquid in there. Yeah, that's not gonna be good. And I've got some other beers from the '60s. El Presidente from like 1951 or something too. I don't know. Um, so the orange beverage base in the U.S. rations. I don't think it's officially Tang. Um, I don't think it's made by. I don't know if it's made by them, but it tastes similar. Yeah, Daniel, I'd say the same. Tang has a special place in my heart. It's I don't think it tastes bad or anything, but I can't think of the last time I went out and bought some Tang. Um, there's a cocktail before I stopped drinking that I'd enjoy once or twice a year. If I was somewhere that made them was Buzz Aldrin, um, where it was just a martini with Tang involved, and then a Tang rimmed glass. It's more of a Tangini Garita. I don't know, but that was interesting. Oh wow, have you tried it, Smokey? You've drank some Billy beer, or tried to drink some Billy beer? Yeah, the orange drinks. Yeah, I think they end up these. Well, I mean, it depends. It depends on what you're talking about. The orange drink in the ration cold weather, that might be. I don't know. I'd have to try it again. It's been a long time. Yeah. That's right. Did that part make it to an episode? I think so. Or one of the aired ones, I mean. Howdy, Jeremiah. Welcome. Just putting back this Gemini Tang crossover ad. And then we're going to open up a box with a whole bunch of space food items. See what we can see. And start transferring some of those to better storage conditions than how I've got them right now. And as far as these larger Saturday Evening Post ads go, this was the only, I think this is one of the only ones I have that's NASA related. And I've got a flat of, I think it's 60 of just general World War II era of those that at some point we'll bring those out and we'll look through them. I want to clear the space up so we can move through them one at a time, you know, and move them to a nice big flat space. Oh, gotcha. So there's like fantastic ads like, you don't have orange juice because it's flying over Nazi rooftops, you know, like with pictures of planes and people drinking Tropicana orange juice while they're dropping bombs and, you know, etc. And yeah, it was different world. You know, the ad campaigns around saving and recycling metal, just the canning and packaging industry, the production of rations, the wood that went into the crates, all that kind of stuff made it into these ads. These companies wanted, you know, or tried to at least remind the public, like, hey, you don't have this thing that you're used to out of convenience because we're busy. You know, we don't hate you. We're not hiding. We're busy. You know, we're making tanks. We're making belts. We're making, you know, boots. We're making whatever it happens to be. And maybe we don't make the thing that you're used to in peacetime, but we're out there. And those kinds of ads are just, there's so many of them in the, I mean, there's about 60 in the collection right now that they're just so neat, you know. I really like going through those. Let's see, what is this? Oh, okay. Well, this is neat. This is, let's see if we can get some light to this. Let's see. There we go. This is like a transparency or a negative, or let's see. Micro stock. It's not a microfiche. That's way too big for that. But I forget the context when I got this. Um, but the actual thing he's doing there, if you can tell even, he's handling like one of those compressed food bars in a little plastic pouch in a simulation or early training setup for Gemini missions, just to get them familiar with the food. But normally, so I had bought this thinking it was one of those press photos, but this was something else. So I've kept it, you know, in this kind of harder shell for now, so I could look into that. Hey, Xenosaga, welcome, good to have you. Let's see, we've got some other. So this is what I'm talking about in terms of like, I thought it was one of these. Where you got your stamped press release photo, they'd send these around, you'd get a packet of them, and you could lay out your newspaper front page or whatever, probably not front page if you're talking about NASA feeding equipment, but you know, other newspapers would get their forwarded copies of these, and they could craft articles as needed. So you'd get your reference, and you'd be able to answer to anybody where, you know, where the source was. But NASA also did their own publications and press releases and all that stuff that would use these too. So That's what I thought I was getting when I got that little transparent one. So I don't know. That might be one of the originals, like much larger, like a 72 millimeter negative. I don't know. But yeah, these are the GT4 food water gun being shown, or is shown being used to reconstitute Gemini space food, which will be carried on the Gemini Titan 4 flight. So this was while they were testing the water gun that would go into the end of the rehydrating packets. And the packets would say things like 10 to 12 seconds, or 4 seconds, or 3 pulls, depending on the generation of equipment that we're talking about. So I believe with the Gemini missions, it was number of seconds, and you would, count out how many seconds you were supposed to be injecting water, and then you'd stop, and that's it, and then you let it sit and rehydrate. That was a there's a lot of just those. I think we looked at a whole bunch of those a few weeks ago. Just general space pictures, but these were ones that I picked up a little more recently. So just adding to the sphere of stuff we looked at. We've got a neat issue of the Space Food Systems, and this one actually has something we're going to look at in a minute. The little tray meals that were in the early shuttle days. So when we were going up to Skylab and Space Lab and Mir, we were taking these little trays about this big with the freeze-dried meal inside, and everything vacuum sealed down into the tray, and it would kind of make a little concave space, and you'd have your meal, and it was a hard plastic tray, and it would socket into a little table, and it would socket into the rehydrating system and all that. So we'll look at one of those in a minute. So that's, this is just a neat addition. Oh, speaking of the tray, and it is a very washed out photo even here, but you can see they've got that little kind of triangle corner. That's where the water attachment portion goes. And I'll show you that in a moment. But this tray was built to be modular, and you'd snap in your meals. And then we've got the thermostabilized portions, and then the little foil back portions. Those I've still never picked up for the collection. Anything that looks like, let's see if it picks it up. So it's got a type of plastic that we'll see. It's kind of similar to food saver bags. I think I'll show you when we start looking through these. But the back of it is foil. So it's foil on one side and then clear plastic on top. And I've never actually got my hands on any of that variety, but it's stuff like dried foods like nuts, and you could see through the one side of the package. I mean, but can't beat detail like this. I wish I had these for everything, for every shuttle mission. So this is where we start getting into like standard meals and actual breakdowns of what people were going to be eating in best case scenarios, and we start seeing some of the favorites. Turkey tetrazzini, that's a great UGR. I don't know. I don't think they ever made an MRE out of it, but it's a fantastic unitized group ration. And there's a lot of one-offs and stuff in the space production runs, because they only needed to make like 12 of them or 10 of them. There's a galley box in the shuttle program days. So these would get packed and corded down and broken up by days, and then socketed into just a big old shelf of the shuttle system's galley, that we looked at the classified documents for its development last week or 2 weeks ago. So yeah, this book was just great for seeing this particular type of ration that we're going to be looking at shortly, and getting a much better picture of what food systems were like on the space stations and on the space shuttle in the late 70s and early 80s. So this is everything opened up and velcroed to the edges. You can see these little velcro bars that they stack, snap their food onto, or just general items. So he's got everything splayed out there so that you can marvel at all the options available floating around up there. And it talks about the general pantry for just extra items, what you're going to expect, and the loadout for everything. So this was the beginning of the shuttle program. So this book covers specifically flights 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and beyond as exact meals and menus. So we get to see for flight 1, is this column down here. We're going to have no chocolate chip food bars. They're not introduced until shuttle flight 3, and then they get 5 of those. But they will have granola and raisin bars. They will not have candy-coated chocolates, but they will have freeze-dried bananas, rye bread, freeze-dried pears, all kinds of stuff. So then we've got these little supplements. Just little extra stuff. I don't think any of these really ration bearing. They just came with. Sometimes I have to pick up a collection of something. That's just neat, but it's not really ration related. That's just showing how big Olympus Mons is on Mars in terms of its actual land mass, and it's pretty much the size of the U.S. in the area it covers, and in elevation, it's the largest mountain in the solar system. And then just this book on the space telescope. That's neat, but that's not ration related. Just a neat little extra. So this was all a packet, and I was getting it for that really detailed version of the NASA Food Sciences book, so that I could get a lot more detailed to look at the trays that went up when we were going to the space stations. Because let's see. Oh, and here's just one more photo. Because what we're about to look at in this box here is some of the rations from astronaut David Wolf's collection that he brought back, and that eventually went to auction, that I got my hands on from Mir. So these items had spent nearly a year in space on the Mir space station, which was a joint venture between the U.S. and Russia, well, and other international spacefaring bodies. But it was a Russian station, and we just had astronauts on it at different points. Gotcha. Sorry, I was just catching up, making sure. Turkish candy. Ooh. Turkish candy. You can go 2 ways with that, I've found. There are some that I would consider savory. I don't know, like a bouillon cube. And people love them. Yeah, this is just, let's see. In-flight food to be carried aboard the Faith 7 during MA9, so that's probably Mercury program. Includes previously used bite-sized portions of ready-to-eat food. That's top left. These being tested as bite-sized elements. So someone over a radio is going to be like, all right, can you try number 2? Tell us the consistency of number 2 there. All right, can you try number 6? AG wants you to try number 6. But let's see. So bite-sized portions of ready-to-eat food and a new experimental dehydrated variety. So this is the creation of freeze drying is happening through these programs, and they're just talking about it casually on the side. So this is some of the most interesting to me is the the concept of freeze drying coming into play potentially partially because of the need for water just a complete water life cycle in space flight, being separated and handled and controlled. Packaged in plastic bags, it is confined. So we got a typo there, NASA. It is confined with water and mixed for 5 minutes in the bag before consumption. The 3 varieties pictured are shrimp, potato salad, and apple juice. There are a number of other varieties to choose from which MA9 pilot Lieutenant Gordon, maybe not Lieutenant, but L. Gordon Cooper Jr. may choose his menu. So we got potato salad, we got shrimp salad, and we got apple juice are going to be items in this particular set that was being set up for Mercury 9. Yeah, and down here we've got NASA Mercury hangar. Got it. I'll put that back. So that'll join its friends in the press release photo pile. In terms of just little glimpses at individual meals and items that may not have made it into any recording or any lists of manifests or any Operation Ration guides or anything like that over the years. So just neat to see what we can find. I'm going to pop this right here for the moment so we can get a good look in here. All right. So let's see what we got. Got a large box. Oh, this is them. All right, so let's see. Nope, that's the provenance and everything there. Now, let's see. Take canned or retort pouch food over freeze dried. I don't know. I mean, I'd take retort pouch food over freeze dried in the here and now, but the freeze dried options tend to be a lot better and have crisp, fresh tasting vegetables and stuff that you don't get as long lasting life out of in the retort pouches. At least my opinion. Like the Mountain House LRPs and MCWs they're the best. I mean, but they're in their own class as far as I'm concerned. I mean, like the best retort pouched MREs are the halal ones, I think, like the lamb jalfrezi and the different chicken and lentil or there's like the 4 lamb varieties and then there's the 4 chicken varieties and then the 4 beef varieties, right? Or I know there's no pork varieties of those, but yeah, those are all fantastic, but they don't last. They're lacking in any preservatives. So these have definitely got a smell to them. The smell of outer space. No, the smell of not being designed to exist for this long. So this one's looking excellent, though. Is that slight powdery inside? 'Inside. Let's see. So this is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, chocolate instant breakfast, 6 ounces, cold water, 5 to 10 minutes. So you can see here is where the hole is. So you would peel, I think you could actually just puncture straight through it, but you could peel it back, and you would feed the needle in, and you can see underneath, let me let it focus, where that pipes down through into the bottom of this, and kind of allows the liquid to aerate out through going up. Well, I mean, it's in space, so it'll be, you know, orientation independent. It doesn't matter. You want it to push through as it expands into here. So you start at the, at what I guess you'd say is the bottom in this instance. So you noticed in some of those photos they had them like just kind of stuck to the wall, and that's because they all have these little Velcro tabs on them. So. Irradiated meats, yeah. There's if you take the air away, you can have a steak that look pink and perfect in a in a vacuum, under glass for 100 years, and it won't ever change. Ooh, let's see. So this was orange grapefruit drink. Speaking of astronaut drinks, well, we got one right here, and this is a kind of a syrup. So this has some give to it. It hasn't leaked. It has tried to come up the needle well, but I bet if I would store it like this or like this, it would slowly flatten back out. So that'll be a goal to make sure it gets stored a little better next time it goes away, which is part of what we're doing here today. Granted, I was thinking I was only going to do like a 20 or 30-minute episode today. And look at us. We're almost at the 2-hour mark already. And we've spent half of it looking at salads. And we could do just as much more salad 3 times over. And I'm sure it would still be fun. Smoky, yeah. I'm not going to get... So this was not purchased in the old days. This is something that I made sure, so this is something I have to sell to the museum at some point, because I put a lot I put a lot on the line in terms of making sure that this made it into the collection. The other auction in the pair went for nearly $3,000. And this one, I don't know, I don't need to hide anything. It was $2,300 was what this collection was at the time. So it was something that was extremely important to get our hands on and save. And I will at some point, be caught back up for that. So I've kept that. But in the meantime, it was better to not let it go. There's none of this. Nobody has these, as far as I'm aware. There might be a few folks in the space collecting world, like Polly Wally Space might. There's a couple people, but these spent almost a year in space on a space station. These came back with a particular astronaut. We've got the chain of ownership all the way through. Individual flown items like this, they're just insane. So overall, as a collection, I think it was beyond worth what it ran for. And in 50 years from now, that there's not going to be another opportunity to snag something like this. So it's not something I think I'd ever repeat, personally. And I think the museum at some point will need to have its own funding to be able to go after big ticket, scary, if it's lost kind of items. But this was the only one like that where I put myself out on that kind of limb in terms of snagging something. And it was take a stupid vacation or do this, and I didn't take the vacation. So, and then this is the only packet of regular MRE peanut butter that I'm ever going to treat this specially, because this one went to space and came back. So there's nothing different about it. This is an 80s MRE peanut butter from Natick that got, was made by Kern Foods. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Kern Foods. And went up and came back down. So we're going to keep that with everything else. So here we got some, I believe these are just everything scale, radiation proof vitamin, like day-to-day vitamins for the astronauts. But this particular one, signed, flown on Mir, Dave Wolf, NASA 6, and he had confirmed before the auction that is his. So multivitamins, but multivitamins with provenance of having been on the Mir space station and having been irradiated for quite a while. And then, last but not least, we've got this is the one thing that, like, it's just so tempting. I would eat this. I would eat this in a heartbeat if it wasn't what it is, but it's just space flown chocolate pudding. Pull tab, chocolate pudding. Number 5358, so this might have gone up in 1985. That might be what that signifies. I'm not 100% certain, but I'm going to pop that back in here. So this is the Mir collection. This is the one, this is just the items. Let's see, it should be 7 total pieces. Yeah. So we've got the 4 trays. Oh, and I didn't even look at these with you yet. Yeah, we're not skipping over those. If they if the Velcro on them is that solid, I think one or more need to be stuck on the wall, Kalen. You're right. Yeah, actually, just missed your comment almost, Daniel. So once we're open and we have a physical location that people can come to for 5 months out of the year, for one year, and we can certify that we've done that, we can rejoin the state agency for surplus property, and we can get the education and outreach collections for NASA food items, which they're not flown items, but they are modern and shuttle era stuff, and we can expand on what we have, and we'd certainly love to have that in the collection. And then I want to definitely keep talking to people that could push that a little further. But for now, we're all reliant on what I've found for us personally in that area. And we're going to go into the other stuff. I just wanted to show this mirror collection first. Hey, Dub C, welcome. Hey, Austin, welcome as well. So here's a whole meal right here. Let's get a good look at that. So this is sweet and sour chicken. This is, if I understood correctly, this is Oregon freeze-dry sweet and sour chicken in here. But this is add 3 ounces hot water and give it 5 to 10 minutes. So you'd inject through the little hole. You'd let it go through the little triangular bit that way. There we go. The little needle feeder part underneath there, and it would puff up, and you'd have, your rehydrated meal would come up to the top there, and then you'd cut just along the edge, kind of a triangle flap, and then they have a technique of kind of moving the bowl around and moving the spoon around so that you've got kind of like think of my hand as like the spoon, and even if through the motion of it it's only doing this, then it's moving out enough so that there's a force pressing against my hand because of the movement of the spoon creating that force. So as you're doing that, you kind of always got to be very aware of where the back of your spoon is after you've contacted any food, because you're in a dance at that point. You've got to keep it moving until you're eating it. So that's the sweet and sour chicken. And then we've got one more kind of darkened looking one. Not There's no give to this, but overall still a good looking tray. And this is freeze-dried strawberries. So you'd add cold water, and I can see, the plastic is what's got this yellowed appearance in general. Um, the yellow plastic film the clear plastic film that goes over this and gets vacuum formed down in there. That's just yellowed in general, wherever it's contacted the inside on most of these. So I would think that this might turn pretty red when rehydrated. In all, I would almost certainly consider any of these items to actually be good. Freeze-dried stuff that went up on a space station was probably at the absolute pinnacle of the technology at the time. So I think there's a pretty good chance that they would actually be edible. Yeah, exactly, Kalen. And I know I jumped into this first, but we're going to go backwards a little bit, and we're going to look at some Apollo and older items in just a moment that are part of the collection. Let me just get these. So I wanted to start transferring into this other box, but I think I may have to save that for the next episode. So for right now, I'm going to replace these, but I'm not going to stack them inside each other this time. I think I'll put a few side by side. Just loosely for right now. And then when we move them into the bigger box, we will give them their own little compartments so that nothing sits on or near them. We'll do that there. Somebody won somebody's contest. What I miss? We've got some stuff for eventual giveaways and for like fundraiser rewards and stuff, but as far as I understand it, I can't do contests or raffles or anything that could be in any way constituted as gambling with the nonprofit status. So I gotta double check some of that, but for the most part, I can't do anything like that. Not that anyone was suggesting that. I was just seeing. But yeah, otherwise, certainly would do some raffles or something pretty early on, but I just don't think I can. Alright, so here we go. This was, let's see, we'll bring this a little closer over here. We'll try not to get everything pinched in there. Alright, so we've got some slightly more modern stuff. And we've got some much older. These are reproduction, but I'll put them out in a moment. Yeah, there we go, I think. there's that. And, okay, so in terms of space food, we've got some interesting bits. We've got this one was listed as flown, might actually be flown. I don't know that I'll ever know 100% for sure on this, but this tends to be an indicator, but again, it's pretty hard to tell in general if you've actually got a flown item or not, because there aren't registries that came back and said, oh, well, this particular serial number, is definitely flown. And things can, as you're going to see, easily be faked, especially when people are talking about items worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars. There is a reason to go ahead and fake them. So in this case, it's a trusted seller and a long-term collection. Almost certainly was flown, but again, we'll never know for certain. But this is seasoned scrambled eggs, so it's like a Western scrambled eggs with spices and whatnot, and it looks brown, but I bet cooked up it would actually be pretty darn good. And I heard they were pretty dark originally. So these are rock solid, vacuum formed. In the modern style, there's a little foil cover on the spot where the needle goes in from the water injection machine. And you want to make sure that, and they want to make sure that when you're putting water into food, there's no pouring. You have to needle feed food in space. But yeah, you can see there's a little foil seal that'll keep that space inside clean and dry until it's time to use. And this little notch might have something to do with how it attaches to the system. It'd be interesting. I need to look into that. Here's another one. This is from a little later. So this was supposedly around STS 40. So this is from the more modern era, and this was sold as definitely not flown, but as a second or alternate that wasn't picked. So these days, pretty much anything you're going to see that's got this dual language on it, it's going to have the label and the information in English and in Russian. Any of these, if somebody's claiming that it's flown, you can pretty much say that it's not. And that's because from the end of the shuttle program onward, we didn't bring anything back. So people go up up until the Dragon X capsules recently. People go up in these Soyuz capsules, and they go up with these food packs that go into the galleys, or we send up unmanned rockets that have the food packs and everything on them, and they get docked with the space station, and the food gets brought over and stacked in. And then with the Soyuz capsules, they're in segments, and when you're going to use one to go back to Earth, only one of the segments is actually going to go through the atmosphere and be picked up and have people in it. The other ones separate back away from the Soyuz and are put into a trajectory where they're going to bounce off the atmosphere, break up, and burn up, and become essentially just a little shooting star. Those get crammed full of garbage the whole time in between dropping someone off and taking people back to Earth. So they consider uneaten food with pinpricks in it, food that passed its date or whatever, garbage. They don't consider them collector's items. They don't have the luxury to consider anything like that when you're being squeezed into a tiny sardine can and rocketing around and going back into the atmosphere and getting picked up. You don't get to bring back whatever. So food that goes up and doesn't get consumed gets destroyed and burned up and it's rained down upon us. We've probably all gotten a single atom of space food fallen on us at some point in our lives. But anything that does get eaten, the condensed, super compressed, wrapper garbage and remnants get burned up as well. So, so the rations for the Dragon X, um, they're going to be SpaceX. I was actually just noticing that they have food services staff and food production and freeze drying and all kinds of things for their own programs. But as far as the most recent, um, the only manned human Dragon X flights that have happened, or sorry, crewed Dragon for SpaceX that have happened, I don't think they had any rations on them. I don't know if they had any food. But once they're up on the space station, they are NASA astronauts and they are eating standard NASA fare. So they weren't private, private folks that went up on a SpaceX ship. They were NASA trained uh, astronauts that took a ride on that capsule. They didn't even steer it. It was all fly by wire. It's so crazy. Um, so yeah, I'll stop rambling. But just saying, if anybody's trying to say that they have some space station era food with English and Russian and that it's been flown, they're almost certainly lying to you. And they have probably a facsimile or a non-flown item, which on its own is still amazing to get your hands on and totally worth padding a nice collection. Like these two items, these are fakes, but they're intentionally made fakes, sold in good faith as fakes, and I have them in the collection just to kind of show how easy it is to get bamboozled, and to show how good some of these can really be in terms of mimicking what you're looking for. But these will be great to show as a display, and believe me, go to a museum, walk around, and start looking at the cards. You'll be amazed how many cards will say the word reproduction on them. A lot of museums aren't displaying 100% original items on the floor. You can't. In a lot of cases, they're going to make a reproduction that displays a lot better, and or they'll fill in the gaps where they can. So these are real items down there, and then these are reproductions that I think were done very well and could show or share the same story, as long as they're clearly tagged as reproduction. But yeah, these are fun. Yeah, I mean, I guess Kevin, they must have. They were. I think there was almost 20 hours between um, when the engine shut down and when they actually aligned and switched over and went to the space station. I think it was like 18 hours in between. So they must have had something to eat. So this could potentially be Apollo 8 through 10, but I don't know that we'll ever be 100% certain. But this is that era, and this was a menu item in that era. So Canadian bacon and applesauce as a freeze-dried puck. So that is somewhat translucent. It's hard to tell in this, but that is a somewhat translucent puck of applesauce with chunks of bacon suspended in it. So we've been talking about suspending meat in a jellied substance. Well, here we go. Here is an Apollo program version thereof, and the actual pouch is in great shape. I would say overall, I'm just going to be super careful with that one. And this is another. So this is a definitely not flown, but an example of a space station food ration. But this is an actual ration. Um, this isn't a reproduction. And as you can see, it's a specialty menu, specialty labeling, but very familiar pouch. We've got the double notching. We got um, the traditional traditional thermostabilized pouch material. Everything about this is normal except what's in it and how it's date labeled. Um, so beef tips with mushrooms sounds pretty darn good, right? I mean, and I bet you this would be just fine. It's only 11 years old. Yeah, that's a good point, Smokey. A lot of these space station meals, they get to pick what they want in advance, and they will make up special meals just for them. And when I'm saying like there's a run of 10 of something, I mean that. They'll make 10. That's it. And it'll be an MRE that was only ever made 10, for 10. So this is going back a little further. Let's see. So this is uh, so this one is either Gemini or Mercury program. And it's got a much less refined water nozzle, early variety. It's got a little pill in it that, like a little tablet that might be a water purification tablet, but probably not. So I'm wondering what that tablet is, to be honest. The GPC 101 is the tablet that's at the top of that. But this one, I do have some information on it somewhere, so um, I just need to get myself caught back up. I don't think it's an actual mystery to the museum collection whether this is Gemini or Mercury, but this is, I think, the oldest space food and oldest freeze-dried food that I have in the collection. Beef noodle soup. And then this is a whole fun little additional collection. So I'm going to put this back in here. And we can look at if it's a hint at all what's inside here. And there's all kinds of good old stock photos and clips and whatnot where you can spot these exact cans on Mir, on Space Lab, or Skylab, I think. But I'm not sure how their date codes necessarily work, but these appear to be around 2012, 2013. So I believe it's, for instance, if we were reading this, I believe it's the 14th of September 2013 was the Best Buy date, and I believe it was the 14th of March 2012 was the manufacture date on this. Not 100% certain which ration this is. This is another one. This one is made on 1/13/14, it looks like, and it's good through 23rd of October 15. And this one's actually ready and labeled. And these were from someone who worked in a I want to say a preparation preparation and loading station in Baikonur that I was able to get a hold of to try and get these for the museum. Oh, what did I miss? Oh, that Natick has nothing to do with SpaceX's rations. Yeah, as far as I know, um, just because they're hiring their own people and they have their own programs for it, seems like it's they're just doing their own formulation. Is that what you were saying, Kevin? Was that SpaceX doesn't look like they're leaning on Natick at all for their food plans? I know right now their big push is designing their rations for Mars, and it's their own rations for that for sure. But I don't know if they made any for the Dragon program. So yeah, just that one had the actual space station label on it, but I just thought it was neat to get a nice set of these different types of Russian space rations that weren't just like the space food in a tube ones, which those are great. If you get a chance, get some and eat some. It's those are commercial available, ready to eat products, and I find them pretty fun. But I think we're right about where I wanted to wrap up here time wise today. I did want to transfer into a new box, so I think we'll start with that next week. We'll come back to some of these, and I'll try and get a little more info on some of these and maybe some translations on the Russian ones, so that we can see what I want to do in terms of making sure that they don't go back into small boxes, crammed into dark spaces, never to be seen again for years and years. I want to make sure that they have um, a good amount of space around each item, that there is a barrier in case of any liquid leakage, that everything's intentionally layered, um, and there's quite a bit that I want to just make sure that when we slide one of these boxes back, that we know what's in it, we know what's safe or not safe, or ready or not ready for display, and that kind of thing. So I'm just going to keep these out actually for now, and we'll come back to this. And I just wanted to thank everybody for coming out and spending another Sunday afternoon with the Ration Museum and with the Book of Salads, because I know we got a bit into the space stuff, and that's very interesting and all. But don't forget that today was all about the Book of Salads, the wonderful, wonderful, ridiculous things that the American military will allow or not allow in terms of the substitution and creation of salad food for the troops. So just everybody stay safe out there. I'm going to try to keep doing this every week. There, of course, may be times where something comes up, but for right now, everything looks good for continuing to do Sundays at 5. So I'll see everybody again a week from today. I'll have hopefully some more updates on the museum itself. I'll start reaching out more through the Discord and Slack. We've got to start doing some ad campaigns to try and get some focused folks to help out, and start making some better social media content and that kind of stuff, because the more folks that watch, the more folks will volunteer, the more folks will be able to spread the word when time comes for a fundraiser, and before we know it, we'll have a physical location, and before we know it after that, we'll have something with an actual set of displays open to the public to come in and take a look. So one step at a time, we're going to get there. So same bad time, same bad channel. See you guys next week. Thanks so much.